as you can already see that we are from the quiz, it was pretty clear that we are here to talk about how to market your app better on both the stores. So coming on to the agenda of the meeting today. So today we'll be talking about few important things when it comes to both the App Store, which is Apple App Store and Google Play Store. So first is the mobile marketing funnel. How is important? What are the different components of a marketing funnel in general? Then how can you leverage keyword research, creative research, reviews optimization to go ahead and get your app a better visibility on the store? What are the best practices of doing that? And last but not least, what is promotional content and should we start using ASA or not in India? Now, moving on to the next slide. Actually before moving on to the next slide, can anyone tell me why any app marketer should actually go ahead and do ASO? I'm sure all of us have done paid marketing and organic part of it, but why do you think is it important for us? Why are we even doing it? Anyone? Any guesses are also fine. Guys, answer before I just start picking one of you. No? No problem. Can we go on to the next slide, please? So the major use of having App Store optimization is to have a better user engagement and retention. That's one of the most important key factors. Apart from that, it also helps in increasing organic downloads. By organic downloads, it means that we are also being very, very cost effective. Like we understand that organic downloads or organic growth is slow in the start, but we are very sure that it's also sustainable in the future as well. So if you're investing in ASO today, maybe 2 years down the line, you will have a better download capacity as compared to paid part of it. Now, when we look at both the stores, both App Store and Play Store, there are so many factors that we don't understand as app marketers when it comes to the organic bit of it. So for Apple App Store, if you see, there is I'm sure every one of us have heard about custom product pages and custom store listing in both the pages, and it is proven that 58% of your conversion are dependent on these two factors in both the stores. And for Play Store, around 10% increase is seen when it comes to changing or updating your screenshot time to time, and it will also have a positive impact in your downloads as well. Now, coming on to the question that, okay, why am I talking about all this? Of course, because we have a tool that caters to everything. So AppTweak is an App Store marketing and intelligence platform, and we not only help you with the basics, which is keywords, but we also go ahead and help you with the paid part of it. So if you have issues in reviews, we have the tool for that. If you want to see reports, we have the thing for that. Now let's look at the marketing funnel. What are the most important things or terms that we need to remember when it comes to having a proper marketing funnel? So as you can see over here, the first and the most important bit of it is visibility. Now, visibility is something that a customers go ahead and see on your app page. So by visibility, the most important, the first thing that comes to our mind is metadata. And by metadata, the second thing comes to our mind is keywords. Now, if we go ahead and look at keywords, the first and the most important thing is doing a proper keyword research. Now let's see what are the things or what are the 4 steps of keyword optimization process. Of course, the first step is research. So at the end of the day, you know your app the best than anyone else. You know what are the kind of keywords that goes ahead and tells the exact USP of the app. You know which keyword will represent my app better. So that comes the research part of it. But again, there's something that I would like to add over here. Sometimes it also happens that the kind of keyword that we think is the best for our app might not be the best for our app. So that's where you have to do a proper research. Then, depending on, now the next step is the refinement, that which among the two keywords or which among the set of keywords is the best for me. Then of course you have to select those keywords and then you have to review. By review I mean do like an A/B testing or update your metadata regularly. So if we look at metadata and its importance, so to explain it, I have taken an example of Cred. I'm sure we know about it, we are already using Cred as an app. And I just want to show you how have they included a keyword called UPI in their metadata and have started ranking for it. So as we all know, UPI is a very, very popular keyword in the Indian market. We use it every minute. So Cred was initially not there in that market. They were not even using that keyword in their metadata. But then they decided that maybe we can, we want to add UPI in our metadata. So if you see over here, last year they started making certain conscious changes in their title and their short description. So within like a span of few months, just by adding a keyword UPI, of course you can't expect to rank one the next day or maybe in the next month. So if you see their rank rose, the app's rank on the keyword UPI went from 74 to 26 in a span of few months, which is something which is very commendable. So anyone of you who does ASO day in and day out would know how competitive is the finance category. The second bit of it is, the second step that they took was making conscious change on their short description and title again. So first they experimented on the most important fields, which is title and short description, and they again changed it on June when they saw a positive impact of it. And if you see right now, in the last 1 year, their rank has been consistent. They are on the top 10 for the keyword UPI, which is again a very, very important thing for an app. Now the second part of any app is consideration. Now the consideration basically means how to increase our rate that the customer will go ahead and download the app, which leads us to the creative optimization part. So first of all, why are creatives so important, right? Of course, nobody is going ahead and reading the app title, short description, long description to see, okay, this is what the app does. What we are seeing is what kind of screenshots have you used? Is it matching the things that I as a customer is looking for or not? So the next step, because we were talking about Cred, the next step that Cred did was started making changes in their creatives. So the first thing that they changed was their screenshots. So if you look on the left side, it's the before screenshot, and in the right hand side are the updated screenshot. Because they wanted to focus on the word UPI, so they started using that keyword everywhere, including their screenshots. And if you look at the graph below, this is a 1 year data. After updating this screenshot, these are the number of impressions that they have received per day in the last 1 year. From 0 to 600 impressions a day is a very, very commendable job that Cred has done. The next thing that we look when it comes to creative is feature graphic, because feature graphic is the first thing that the customer looks. Afterwards, we go ahead and see the screenshots. So again, if you see, they did again a similar adjustment in July. They didn't change a lot. They just added the keyword UPI, Cred UPI everywhere in their feature graphic. Now, if you see the visibility change that has occurred over here, after all the feature graphic update, they went up to 1000 positive visibility percentage just on the keyword UPI, which is again, keep in mind it's a very high volume keyword and it's very, very difficult keyword, especially in the category of finance. So now what we learn over here is that it takes time, but it will certainly go ahead and give you a sustainable growth when it comes to doing the organic bit of it. I'm sure they must be doing the paid part as well, but organic is something that is still going ahead and helping them. They're still ranking in the top 10 for this keyword. And if you look at the change in their keyword impact, as I told you, the volume of the keyword remains same, but if you see the ranking improved from 78 to 16. There's a 62 points jump in the rank, which is very, very impressive. especially for a person who looks at the ranks and volume on an everyday basis. So these are the first two steps that are very, very important for any app marketer to go ahead and understand what are the small things that you can keep in mind to improve, and being consistent is the key. Don't expect that if you're going ahead and doing ASO or organic marketing, it will go ahead and give you the result the next day. That never happens. And if you're thinking that, then I'm very sorry. Maybe this is not for you. But yeah, you need a lot of patience and consistency. So the next part of it is conversion, like how you use all these things and make that conversion happen. Conversion is something that will be taken up by Karan.
Yeah, absolutely. So 625 downloads in a day is 6,250 in 10 days, 18,750 in a month. Multiplied by 12, I'm not there yet. But anyways, so that's a bit how growth works, especially for apps that have been growing consistently on the store. UPI loans are a very, very competitive category with so many different players. And it's amazing how Cred has been trying to do a holistic marketing campaign. So they've been doing TV ads. A lot of us know about their ads because they play during the IPL. But we can also see a replication of their efforts in paid media on TV into their essential app strategy as well. Moving on, when it comes to general best practices of the screenshots, we understand that the Google Play Store is very vague in terms of giving you an idea around what should be the best practice overall. Now, there are some very key steps like having a good copy, the first 3 screenshots, really sharing the value prop of the app, and also the in-app imagery being clearly visible. As we grow, I think these are very, very basic. Now, we have three different examples. Would anyone want to go ahead and share which among these follow the best practices outlined by the Play Store and which among them don't? Right? Any guesses? No worries. Now this is where comes in A/B testing. To give you a view, when we go back to the previous slide, the Play Store gives you an idea about splitting your screen, having the imagery that's visible, and also having text that's legible. When we look at Cred, we understand that it's a UPI app, but it does not currently cater to folks who are looking out for credit cards, folks who are looking out for Cred Mint, which are different features that Cred has. Essentially, the first 3 screenshots, if they don't communicate enough, a new user which is unaware of the brand might fall out. So marketers have to be aware of not missing out on all categories and all cohorts of users. Whereas separate other brands try to go back and show a portfolio of different services and features that they have instead of just focusing on one. In this case, of course, Cred was very heavily reliant on showing success in UPI. All right. Now, A/B testing, or really going back and looking at 2 different variations of the same app metadata, can help you understand essentially before making a big change as to what might be the potential impact of it on your app. So A/B testing helps you understand that in your copy, your metadata, features, as well as in your value prop. And it's essential to go ahead and do that. To give you an example, to increase rankings for keywords in the top 10, you need to increase your conversion rates. Because the whole game is about impressions and conversions. ASO can help you get more eyeballs. How do you go back and make sure that they convert into actual users of the app? And overall, it's the best way to really look at making sure that you have a stable conversion rate, which is always sustained and growing as well. Now, when it comes to A/B testing best practices, now this is where a lot of folks have had questions around how long do we run an A/B test for? What's the actual use of it? Do we run 2 variations, 3 variations, 5 variations, things like that as well? And do we run it for multiple different app metadata fields, or do we run it only for one? The whole idea is if you can't track it and if you can't measure it, what's the point of it? So if you're running it for different metadata fields, you're not able to really understand what worked and what did not work overall. So some of the best practices include targeting the right people, having a clear hypothesis, and testing one element at a time. Often it's more about a calendar that you build, but even before really going ahead and having that cadence, it's important for you to brainstorm and understand why are you A/B testing. What's not working for you before you go ahead and A/B test. If everything's working well, if downloads are coming in, conversion rate is great, then what's the point of doing an A/B test? So there always has to be a motive, an objective, and finally a hypothesis on which you'd want to go ahead and work on. The next bit is the user relationship in this case. Now when we talk about the user relationship, we essentially come down to review optimization, because that's one clear way of really getting strong feedback from your users on how is the app performing. Now, on most days when it comes to fintech apps, users leave good and bad reviews, but it's very important to understand how to really go ahead and find actionable insights from these reviews as well. So when it comes down to reviews, one of the reasons that they're super important is at the end of the day, when folks go ahead and download an app, they're looking at two different filters. On the Play Store, if you see an app today, you have a filter which says, show me apps that are 4.5 plus, or show me apps that are 4-star plus. So it's more of also making sure that when folks go ahead and filter down apps, you're among the category of apps that go ahead and show up. Additionally, when it comes down to reviews, you also want to go ahead and have the strongest reviews that redefine your value prop on top. If you have reviews that are negative, if you have reviews that are not compliant with your brand strategy, it won't work out. However, not all negative reviews are bad. Some of them can give you direction, some of them can also give you ideas around what to A/B test the next time. So in this case, well, Cred has some amazing reviews. So the Google Play Store also this time has been very, very strict on how you go ahead and make sure that reviews show up. So there is a lag when someone writes a review, there's a double check which happens, and very, very tough to go ahead and do black hat ASO when it comes down to reviews and ratings. Now for Cred, on this, we try to go ahead and look at the most common repeated terms when it comes to Cred's reviews and ratings. And we understand that there are some red flags that they can go ahead and identify. Like for example, when we dig deeper into their reviews and ratings, we understand that a lot of people mention unable. So they're unable to go ahead and link the card, they're unable to go ahead and really make the payment, or they're unable to even open up the scanner. Now, from a product perspective, this is a big, big red flag, because you want to solve this as soon as possible. You have a big holistic campaign that's going on with TV ads, with promotions, with ads running on IPL, and at the end of the day, if you have the user converted, if you have them activated, and they finally are not able to really transact, big loss. So that's where companies can go ahead and take feedback. And if I'm Cred's competitor, I know what to do. I exactly know where Cred is not making real conversions, and I can go back and A/B test with new screenshots, new promo videos, new short descriptions around the fact that you're able to go ahead and transact in a matter of seconds as well. So this is how, when you go back and look at an industry, you're able to understand why are competitors doing what they're doing and how are other competitors losing out. This might not be the only reason. There can be 10 different reasons as well. It's a possibility that they solved it. But trends go ahead and show a particular story, and we have a hypothesis that we are today sharing with you. When we dig deeper into more reviews as well, we try to go back and understand what's the impact of really replying back to reviews. Now today there are many automation tools as well available with GPT, where you can go back and automate the response to reviews. Uptweak has some of that as well. Essentially making sure that you're looking at far more impactful work when it comes to looking at user sentiments, and you leave the job of responding to reviews to ChatGPT. This is where automation can make the job easier by understanding user behavior, user trends, bucketing them into multiple different categories, and then finally giving you the opportunity of responding back to user sentiments with changes in the actual app as well. And then finally, so Play Store, App Store, both of them have in-app prompts. You can go ahead and activate the API, essentially going ahead and giving a prompt to a user to give a review or a rating. Now, this in the user journey, a lot of apps go ahead and today do it in the happy moments of a user. Essentially, whenever you have a completed transaction, if you have a high value transaction that you would have done, if you would have made your first investment, then companies go ahead and essentially prompt the AI to take a review. Now we understand companies have also built internal tools to first go ahead and ask if you loved the platform, and then go ahead and actually route you to the Play Store. If you say no, I did not like the service, then that's it. It asks you for feedback. Some of it is smart rather than really going back and paying for reviews and ratings, because it actually contributes to the positive feedback that you get or positive reviews that you might be getting as well. All right, that's a lot of talking about reviews and ratings. Overall, it's always fun to look at reviews and ratings, essentially because when I go back and download apps, mostly gaming apps, I try to understand what are people writing about it. Are they generally like troubled with ads? Because I don't like a lot of ads in my games. So it's always really interesting to understand how apps are growing and what are the kind of user sentiments that are coming up. Finally, we have user engagement, and that's where promo content comes in-app events come in, and this is where the Play Store essentially did a beta test, and certain apps could go ahead and qualify and apply for it as well. And some of those apps have really grown a lot. So you can have offers, events, promotions as well being run on it. The big possibility that I see today is the fact that folks run offers because they have access to promo content, and there isn't a strategy with promo content overall. However, some apps do it well. So to give you an example, we have in-app events as well as promo content. So we go ahead and see that those two have different formats. If you would have been noticing how Google Play Store and Apple App Store today works, you would have seen major changes on the UI. And finally, you can go ahead and see, especially the change with Google Play Store, essentially showing you ads for brand terms. That's a big, big change, especially in the gaming space, in the non-gaming space, where you can go back and cannibalize your own organic spends. So those are major changes that are happening. So promo content and in-app events can really show promotions, offers, as well as events, so that you can go ahead and leverage limited period events for downloads as well. Moving on. Now, of course, this is very, very simple in terms of best practices, like targeting the right audience, increasing the visibility across the store. The search visibility and user engagement as well can be increased overall. Now, all of these are dependent on how your in-app events or promo content works, essentially because not all your competitors have access to it. So firstly, the access is limited to maybe 2% of the entire app ecosystem. So you're only competing with 2% of them. So that's where it can really increase your visibility and give you another channel for downloads as well. And finally, we come back to the new space that is growing. So we have some statistics that can help you understand the emergence of iOS in India. So if I was having this conference 2 years ago and I'd said Apple is super important and iOS is growing, you wouldn't have probably agreed. But overall, we have seen that the number of iPhones selling in India have grown. So we know that the market share of Apple or iOS is essentially growing, and we know wherever the audience goes, the marketer goes as well. So essentially, more and more marketers would be willing to go ahead and promote on Apple, and that's where user engagement is so important. All right. Any questions so far? Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Arpita. My question is regarding the point that you mentioned that for ratings, um, showing the rating pop-up at a place which is delightful for the user, like after an action which makes the user happy.
Yes.
That is a sweet spot for the rating review. But for apps which have very low retention, let's take gaming. So, would waiting for a point, for a moment of delight to show this pop-up, would mean that we are losing on the volume of users, or should the strategy be same for low retaining apps as well, or should here the strategy be something else?
That's a very interesting question, to be honest. There are two parts to it, and honestly, we have Chetna and Nitin who are from Games 24 who would be on stage soon, so I'll actually add that question for them. In my perspective, to give you an example, when it comes to casual games, there are certain levels that are difficult to complete or can go back and cause an uninstall. I think whenever a user is looking at ads, a lot of companies go ahead and add the rating prompt because they know that they've already built that rapport with the user that they're watching ads. And this is where they can actually go ahead and show a prompt. The other way also is to probably look at if they've made a purchase, especially in casual gaming, if you bought some coins or if you've removed ads as well, it means you're into the game. It means that you want to be engaged and you want to play more. So it means that they're generally pretty happy. The third bit also is that there are multiple different spaces within casual gaming, and it can be from avatars, it can be from different winning streaks as well. So there are different major touch points that can be managed. I think it would actually go back and increase retention, especially because you've already identified what are the happy moments in a user journey. On the flip side, if they're not pretty happy, because the Play Store prompt does not always work correctly, if they're not pretty happy, it is a big possibility that you start seeing a jump in negative reviews or ratings. And that's why it's so important to keep a track of it on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis as well. Otherwise, you lose track of what's going right and what's going wrong.
Yeah, thank you. But following up to this, like if you take a gaming app, casual game, let's say, so the users who are making any purchase would be 1% or 2%, as compared to a retail app. The percentage would be much higher. So
Right.
this strategy, would it be beneficial in a casual game also, like when we are targeting only 1 or 2% of the users for rating? So would this strategy be really beneficial?
Well, these are some best practices, to be honest. Like every strategy works for different companies. Some of it would not. So it really depends on what's the context, what's the type of gameplay, and also what's the average retention on it. Like I've heard about companies going back and looking at D1 and D7 retention very differently. So they know that their day 7 retention is really small. So they really want to go ahead and monetize in the first 7 days. Now, if that's the goal, then you monetize very quickly with ads, with gameplay characters, and that's when you go ahead and take a review or a rating as well. If you know that your D7 retention is very high, then you know that the user is going to be on the app for more than 7 days. So you have more happy moments in the entire journey to really go ahead and enact that prompt as well.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Deepika. When it comes to positive reviews, them being public is an issue because we can't ask for negative feedback. But if we want to use internally the negative feedback for some improvisation enhancements, is there an example of a company which has invited negative reviews from users who are not happy, so as we can use it in the product development, this thing?
So yes, they've probably not invited it publicly on the Play Store, but when it comes to internal mechanisms, so today if you look at some e-commerce apps, if you say that no, I'm not enjoying the experience, they essentially ask you for feedback, not for a rating prompt altogether. So that's a bit that can be used internally.
And the other question regarding the in-app event thing, do we have an example in the Indian setting of a very successful in-app event or something that really brought turnaround for a company?
So when it comes to in-app events, I think there are a couple of gaming companies that do it really well, especially because in the past, Play Store did not really allow a lot of gaming apps to be present. So when it comes to apps like Dream 11 or even a lot of those fantasy cricket apps, they've been doing in-app events really well because they've been leveraging the fact that a lot of these events are very time sensitive and they can go ahead and end and finish at a particular period of time. That's where doing in-app events with limited period offers or even with let's say pre-releases have generally helped them. So generally real money games or be it fantasy gaming apps do really well. Also with e-commerce, fintech do really well if they have very specific offers as well. So essentially when we look at events, it might not help all the apps. It helps you if it's more time sensitive, if it's an offer that can really benefit the user quickly and can entice them to make a purchase. I think that's where in-app events really have the most positive effect. Yes.
Hi Karan, insightful session so far. Thank you so much. I'm Saras. I work for a gaming company. I want to check, if at all we have a game which is pretty big, and if you're coming up with a sequel of the same game, and what kind of app name would you suggest having it? For example, if the older game, which has millions of users, for example, if I'm taking an example, like it's a Farmville game, okay? And the new game, since it's a sequel, maybe we'll keep it as Farmville 2 or with some other keyword sort of. So would this negatively impact the previous game because it's the same keyword? When users are doing a keyword search for this keyword, so we are actually, diverting the user to that other game, not this game. But it will eventually benefit us, but we needed, new users for the new game. So what kind of keyword suggestions would you have in such cases?
That's a very, very good question, to be honest. There are two ways to look at this. One is, do you want to cannibalize yourself? And this is something that King and Candy Crush do it very often. So Candy Crush has Candy Crush Saga. I don't play Candy Crush, but they have 5 or 6 more such games. So if you search for Candy Crush, you will find all the games of Candy Crush. So they know even if a user does not download one of their app, like one specific app, they download one of their entire portfolio of apps. The second bit is to really create extensions because you have your developer name that is still searchable. So you create your developer name as the main concept, and then you go ahead and create extensions around it. Both strategies work. When it comes to cannibalizing yourself, you essentially make sure that the user, even if they don't download one particular app, they download one of your app and you monetize. The other way is that you really go ahead and create extensions and you build an umbrella of apps with the same developer name overall.
Got it. Thanks, Karan. One more question, if I may.
Yes.
So far, the session where you have covered a lot of important topics like screenshot optimization, description, icon, etc. All of this can be done on Play Store, right? So why App Tweak?
So a lot of things can be done on the Play Store, the console in itself. I think this is a question that a lot of our folks who take up App Tweak ask as to what's the core benefit of really going ahead and understanding the value prop of App Tweak. The bit is that you have, on the console, you have data for yourself. But when it comes to platforms like App Tweak, you also have data for competition. So you have a benchmark, you have a space to compare and also understand what you might not see on the console. To give you an example, if you were a competitor of Cred and you want to replicate a part of their strategy, or even in gaming, if you'd want to go back and launch a new game in a new category, you can go ahead and cross compare and see how long did it take for another game to really grow. So you can go back 6 years in time and understand when did they start really making games in this category, how did they really change and evolve, and what were some of the tests that they did, So that's a gold mine, especially to strategize, brainstorm, and make changes. But it's true, when it comes to true data, it's available on the console for your own app.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the questions. We had 42 slides, so this is slide 21. Moving on. All right, so as we know, Apple is growing. And when it comes down to Apple search ads, this is another growing space. It's not a skill that is very, very popular today, so it's still upcoming. I know a lot of folks today manage campaigns and they know and understand some campaign metrics. Apple search ads works in the same bidding model. Now, when it comes down to some of the very specifics on it, I'll let Shivani share a bit more.
All right, so don't worry guys, we are not on the slide 21. We are almost getting over, so you don't have to go through it for a long time. Okay, so continue to what Karan said. Apple search ads, as he explained very well, we know how it works, where in which store it works. Now, for those who have already used ASAs in the past, have an idea how it works. But for those who haven't used ASAs in the past, there are basically two types of ASA that we do today. So if you are someone who has just started doing ASA, these are the few basic things that everyone should go ahead and look for. One is how the ASA algorithm is automatically optimizing your campaign. And the most important part is that you pay only when your ad is being clicked by the customer. Right? And the second bit of it is the advanced part of it, wherein you can go ahead and run search ads, search tab, today tab, and custom product pages as well. So you can run your ads in all of these spaces and see from exactly which space are you going ahead and getting those conversions. Now, moving on, because we were discussing how there's an increase in the sales of iPhones in India, the next question that everyone has in their mind is, why should Indian market or Indian app marketers should go ahead and focus on ASAs? So as you can see over here, so first and the most important thing is growing iPhone market. The second important thing is high conversion potential. So as I said before, you just have to pay when the customer is going ahead and tapping on your particular ad. And of course, because there is also a high intent to download that particular app as well. And the most important thing is that it's very quick and easy to set up. It won't go ahead and take a lot of time, and it will be easily set up in anyone's app. And of course, you can go ahead and do as much as localization on that particular ASA as well. Now, localization can be on the basis of language, cities, and regions. And because we know that in India we have so many languages, so it opens up more opportunities for people who are trying to get into ASA. So the next very obvious question is, okay, you guys are telling me about ASA, but how is ASA and ASO, bind together? It does bind together. So the most important thing is increasing visibility. Both of them goes ahead and help you in increase your visibility of the app. ASO goes ahead and helps in terms of organic, from an organic perspective, and ASA helps from a paid perspective. Apart from that, I also told you about custom product pages earlier. So you can make as many custom product pages for your app if there is any event or any campaign that you are running. So the customer need not go to your app page, click on there, and then understand what kind of event the app is running. They can just go onto the Today tab, and they'll have a notification that Cred is going ahead and making some offers on a particular product. And the most important thing is keywords. Everything comes down to the keywords that you're using, both for your ASA and ASO. So you have to be very, very careful when we go ahead and do the keyword research. Moving on, this is basically like increased visibility, organic growth, competition suppression, and strategic keyword integration is what we discussed. Now, moving on to the conclusion. Guys, be happy, this is the last slide. Okay, so moving on to the conclusion. Today, what we learned in this session is how important is ASO for anyone's app, and how important is to understand that both organic and paid play an important role, and exactly when you should go ahead and start doing organic for your particular app. And of course, the most important thing is to drive user engagement by different strategies, be it creative optimization or review optimization. And the most important thing is start using ASA and start leveraging ASA, because of course we cannot deny the fact that Google Play Store has the majority market in India, but iPhone market is also growing. And of course, if you don't have an iPhone, you don't have an iPhone. That's what Apple says. Okay, so thank you so much for being with us for the last 1 hour. I hope this session was insightful for you guys. In case if you have any queries, we are right outside and you can drop by us. Thank you.